Story 1, Exit 313. Rachel Carter had been driving trucks for 15 years, long enough to lose track of how many winters she'd crossed the I-80 through Nebraska. But tonight's cold was wrong. Not cold like weather. Cold like someone had opened a freezer door inside her lungs. Snow whipped sideways across the highway, erasing the world beyond her headlights. Her wipers scraped at the windshield like fingernails on bone. She hadn't seen another car in the last hour. The dashboard clock glowed 1:13 a.m. Her fuel was fine. Her route was clear. Everything should have been normal. Then the green sign appeared. Exit 313, Blackthorn Road. Rachel frowned. She knew these roads. There was no exit 313 on this stretch of I-80. And why the hell would something called Blackthorn Road appear out of nowhere in the middle of a blizzard? She pressed on. 13 miles later, her headlights illuminated something that made her slam the brakes so hard the trailer fishtailed. A green sign. The same one. Exit 313, Blackthorn Road. No way, she whispered, breath fogging. She checked her GPS, flatline. Frozen at the same location. She drove forward again, knuckles white on the wheel. 13 miles later, exit 313 once more. Her chest tightened. A loop. But loops weren't real. Not outside of nightmares. Then she noticed the smell. Cold. Sweet. Metallic. Death. Rachel turned slowly to the passenger seat. A woman sat there. Her own face, pale, frostbitten, eyes milk white, lips blue and cracked like shattered porcelain. Ice crusted her hair. Her head hung at an unnatural angle. Rachel choked back a scream and swerved the truck until she nearly slid off the highway. She blinked wildly, heart hammering. But the corpse didn't disappear. It was her. Frozen. Dead. No. No, no, no. She drove. Harder. Faster. 13 miles later, the exit sign rose again. Now two corpses sat in the passenger seat. Both versions of Rachel, both wearing the same coat she had on, both with their mouths slightly open as if trying to speak. Rachel screamed until her throat tore raw. By the seventh loop, she was sobbing uncontrollably. 7 dead Rachels piled in the passenger seat like discarded mannequins. Their eyes were starting to frost over. Their fingertips were blackening. Their joints cracked with tiny snapping sounds each time she hit a bump. By the 8th loop, the corpses had begun to sit upright on their own. Their milky eyes followed her. Rachel could feel them breathing, or something close to breathing. The air grew colder each time one materialized. By the 9th loop, she was no longer steering straight. She shook violently, teeth chattering. This time, when she passed the sign. Exit 313, Blackthorn Road. Next right. A new line had appeared. Rachel's hands trembled as she turned the wheel. The exit lane curved deep into a patch of darkness untouched by the storm. Her headlights dimmed, flickered, then died completely as she rolled to a stop. The corpses were still breathing behind her. She felt their cold presence crowding the cabin like a freezer packed with thawing meat. Ahead loomed a building. A hospital. Abandoned. Rotting. Its windows black as eye sockets. A sign above the main entrance read, Blackthorn Memorial, Ward 3, Room 313. Her breath caught in her throat. 6 years ago, she had passed this area during another winter run. Her mother had been in a small local hospital near here. Dying. Rachel had promised she would come. But freight had been late. Deadlines mattered. So Rachel kept driving. Her mother died alone 5 hours later. The guilt had never left. Now it had found her. The truck engine shut off by itself. Every corpse in the cab turned its head toward her in unison, slowly, synchronized, like puppets pulled by the same invisible string. No way out but forward. Rachel opened the door. The cold hit her like a slap, but the snow had stopped. The sky above was impossibly clear, black as ink. The hospital door creaked open for her without being touched. Inside, the hallway smelled of rot and antiseptic long gone stale. A faint light flickered deeper in the building, leading her like a dripping candle. She walked. Room numbers passed: 309, 310, 311. When she reached 313, her body locked in place. The door opened by itself. Her mother lay on the rusted bed, skin leathery, mouth open in a silent scream. Flesh was peeling away, dark and wet. Something thick and viscous dripped from the mattress onto the floor. Rachel fell to her knees. "I'm sorry," she whispered. But the word wasn't enough. She knew it wasn't enough. The corpse twitched. Blood, dark, syrup thick, began to flow upward, defying gravity. It spread across the ceiling, forming patterns like branching veins. The room pulsed. Her mother's body sat up. Rachel sobbed, unable to move. "Say it," the corpse croaked in her mother's voice, though its throat had long since rotted away. Rachel crawled forward, shaking, and wrapped her arms around the decaying body. Skin sloughed off under her hands like wet paper. The smell of rot filled her mouth. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. Please, please forgive me." The blood on the ceiling pulsed brighter, as if reacting to the words. In the distance, she heard the sound of shattering glass. Then silence. A deep, profound silence. When she finally opened her eyes, the corpse in her arms had dissolved into grey ash. So had the corpses in her truck. The hospital vanished. Rachel found herself sitting on the shoulder of I-80 under a peaceful dawn sky. Her truck hummed beside her, engine warm and steady, like nothing had happened. But her hands were coated in dried, blackened blood. It had seeped deep into her skin, into every crease. She ran to a gas station restroom and scrubbed until the sink turned pink. The blood didn't fade. It never would. Rachel looked into the mirror. Her reflection stared back, exhausted. Haunted. But alive. Behind her, faintly, a whisper rose. 13 miles. The loop was broken. But the price of guilt never washed away. Story 2, 11 minutes. Jack Sullivan had been on Route 66 for 3 straight days, and the Mojave night wrapped around him like a burial shroud. No moon. No stars. Just a sky so hollow it felt like something had scooped the light out of it. Jack's old Peterbilt rumbled along the asphalt, headlights carving 2 pale tunnels through the darkness. Static hissed on the radio. Heat lightning flashed somewhere far behind him. He checked the time. 2:59 a.m. He reached for his thermos of cold coffee when his phone, a relic flip phone he kept out of stubbornness, buzzed violently on the dashboard. Unknown caller. He frowned, picked it up. "Hello?" A voice, his own, he answered. Breathy. Strained. Raw. Jack hit the brakes. "What?" Jack hit the... The call cut into a screech of static. Seconds later, a shape bolted onto the road. A dog, big, shaggy, terrified. Jack reacted in pure instinct. He swerved left. Too late. The front bumper slammed into the dog with a sickening, heavy thump. Blood sprayed across the windshield in a dark arc. Bones cracked loudly, like a rifle but smashing concrete. The truck fishtailed before Jack regained control and pulled over, heart hammering. He stepped out, knees shaking. The dog lay broken on the pavement, ribs sticking through fur. Tears stung Jack's eyes. What the hell was that call? He wiped blood from the glass with shaking hands and climbed back into the cab. 3:11 a.m. His phone buzzed again. Unknown caller. Jack stared at it, dread washing over him. But he answered. Hello? His own voice replied, older, rasping, drenched in fear. Good. You listened. If you hadn't, you'd be dead now. Acid truck. Would have hit you from behind. What? Who are you? You know exactly who I am. The voice coughed, wet and painful. I only call when it matters. When you're about to die. The call ended. Jack sat there shaking. He didn't start the truck again for a full minute. The next night, 2:58 a.m., the phone rang. His future voice warned him to stay awake, ordered him to pinch his arm until he bled, screamed at him to keep his eyes open. A moment later, Jack felt his lid sag heavy as lead. He hadn't even realized he was drifting off. The road dipped ahead into a gorge, a 300-meter drop. If he dozed, he would have gone over. Thanks, Jack whispered into the night, shivering. Thank you, whatever the hell you are. The third night, 3 a.m. The call returned. But this time the voice sounded wrong, like it had been dragged through broken glass. Words slurred, gargled, soaked in blood. Jack, listen to me. He wheezed, coughed hard. Something thick spluttered against something metal on the other end. Jesus Christ, what happened to you? I don't have long. A horrible scraping noise followed. Jack, this is important. Don't answer any calls at 3:11 a.m. from Sarah's number. Jack froze. Sarah was his wife. Dead for 3 days, according to the voice from the future. What are you talking about? Jack whispered. The voice lowered, as if hiding from someone nearby. They are dead, Jack. His breath rattled. Sarah and Emily. Gone. Murdered. Jack's blood went cold. No. No, that's not. The police think it's you. I'll wheeze. They're looking for you right now. The wind outside screamed against the cab. Don't answer that call. No matter what. It's a trap. You pick up at 3:11 and you'll know the truth. And then you'll wish you didn't. Then came the sound that killed Jack's breath. A wet, gristly slice. A thud. Liquid dripping. Then his own voice, thin, ruined. Jack, my throat. I'm dying, don't answer. Sarah's call. The line went dead. Jack's hands shook violently. He placed the phone on the dashboard like it was a loaded weapon. He didn't sleep at all. The next night was absolute silence until the clock hit 3:11 a.m. Then the ringtone shattered the dark. Jack's heart slammed into his ribs. He stared at the caller ID. Sarah Sullivan. His dead wife's name glowed across the screen. Jack reached for it, then snatched his hand away as if the phone burned him. His future self said not to answer. Said it would destroy him. But the thought dug into his skull like a hook. What if I did kill them? What if the police were right? What if I blacked out? What if I don't remember? His finger hovered. The phone kept ringing. 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 Finally, hands trembling, breath shaking, Jack answered. Sarah? A long silence. Then, breathing. Female. Shallow. Panicked. Jack, Sarah's voice whimpered. He's still in the house. Oh God, he's coming back. Jack's heart nearly burst. Where are you? Sarah. Emily, his little girl, started screaming in the background. His blood ran to ice. Daddy! Help! A violent crash. A dull thud. Emily's screams cut to a wet choke. Something, or someone, dragged something heavy across a floor. Then footsteps. Slow. Purposeful. A man's voice, distorted, almost amused, whispered into the line. "Jack, you did good work earlier." Jack's soul fell out of him. What do you mean?" More dragging. Something wet hitting the floor. A body, most likely. The man chuckled, low and cruel. "You don't remember yet. But you will." The line clicked dead. Jack stared at the phone until dawn. Now every night, precisely 3 a.m., the calls return. Sometimes it's his future voice, choking on blood. Sometimes it's Sarah's dying scream. Sometimes it's Emily sobbing. Jack drives endlessly down Route 66, terrified to sleep, terrified to stop, terrified to answer, terrified not to. Because the choice is killing him? If he answers, he'll hear the truth that shatters him. If he ignores it, he'll never know if the murderer was someone else, or himself. And each night, exactly at 3:11, the missed call notification appears. One missed call, Sarah Sullivan. And the voicemail is always empty. Just breathing. He's breathing. From a future that may no longer exist. Story 3, The Starlight 66. Marcus Reed had been a long-haul driver long enough to know when the road was lying to him. Route 66 through the Nevada desert was quiet, empty, and flat tonight, nothing but dunes, dried riverbeds, and the night sky stretching forever. But his fuel gauge was sinking faster than it should. He tapped the glass. The needle hovered over E. "That's impossible," he muttered. "I filled up in Kingman." The engine coughed. Not sputtered, coughed. Like something was stuck in its throat. Then he saw it. A glowing neon sign, floating in heat shimmer though the air was icy cold. Starlight Fuel, open. 66 gallons free. Marcus slowed down. There was nothing on this stretch. No towns. No gas. No lights. The map insisted the nearest station was 42 miles behind him. But here it was. A gas station glowing faint green under a starless sky. And Marcus was out of options. He pulled in. The pumps were rusted but functional. The convenience store windows were caked with dust as thick as old paint. A fluorescent sign flickered inside like a dying pulse. The entire station looked abandoned for decades, yet the pumps hummed with electricity. He stepped out, boots crunching on gravel. The moment he unscrewed his fuel cap, the pump began pouring gas on its own. Gallons counted up. 12. 25. 44. Marcus felt unease opening in his chest. 66 gallons on the dot. The pump stopped exactly then. "Thanks," he murmured, as if someone had been listening. And someone had. From behind the grimy glass, an old woman watched him. Skin grey as ash, hair like cobwebs, eyes sunken but sharp. Marcus nearly dropped the nozzle. The woman pressed a wrinkled hand to the window. Her fingers left a dark smear, blood. He froze. Then, something moved in the back seat of his truck. Marcus spun around. Through the rear cab window, he saw a shape slumped in the back seat. A person. Skin peeled from their face. Teeth bared in an eternal scream. Jesus Christ! He yanked the door open. The body didn't vanish. It sat there. Dead. Real. Marcus stumbled back, panting. He climbed into the driver's seat with trembling hands and floored the gas. Once he cleared the station, he exhaled shakily. But then the gauge dropped. Not gradually. 6 gallons disappeared instantly. And the corpse in the back seat shifted. Its head lifted a fraction. Enough to look at him. No, you don't. Marcus slammed the brakes. Fumbled the door. Vomited onto the sand. He wiped his mouth, shaking hard. He looked back. The body was still there. Sitting upright now. Skinless face glistening wetly in the dark. Oh my god. He jumped back into the cab, slammed the locks down, and accelerated again. The gauge dropped another 6 gallons. Another body materialized. Another driver, this one missing an arm, skin blistered from fire. Marcus choked on air. His vision blurred. Stop! 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 But Route 66 didn't obey. The desert blurred into a grey wall. The stars vanished. Night thickened like tar. He drove faster. Another 6 gallons gone. Another corpse. Their bodies piled. Their forms twisted. Their mouths open in silent agony. By the time he reached corpse number 11, he could barely see out the back windows through the mass of dead drivers. His own breath fogged the glass. This was impossible. This was insane. This was hell. He spun the truck around, heading back toward the Starlight station. It felt like the only anchor in this nightmare. When he arrived, the old woman was already outside, waving him down with a trembling bloody hand. Stop! Stop right there, she croaked. Marcus lurched the truck to a halt, jumped out, and staggered toward her. What the hell is happening? Who are those people in my truck? They are us, she wheezed. Every driver the station kept. Everyone who couldn't feed it. Feed it? She lifted her arm. Long white scars covered both wrists, fresh cuts over old ones. I've been here 38 years, she whispered. I cut every day so it stays full. If I don't, it takes fuel. Then it takes drivers. Marcus stared, jaw trembling. And if I leave? She looked at him with infinite pity. You can't. You used the fuel. You're part of it now. He backed away. No, I'm not. You only have 5 gallons left, she said softly. 30 more minutes before it pulls you back. Marcus's stomach dropped. 5 gallons. One more loop. He spun toward his truck. Bodies inside shifted, piled atop each other, bloated, broken, twisted, 11 dead drivers staring through his windows like hungry ghosts. Their breaths fogged the inside of the glass. Tell me how to stop it, Marcus shouted. The woman's voice cracked. You can burn the truck, she whispered. Burn the station with it. Marcus's heart pounded. Or, she said. He froze. Or join me, she croaked. Cut yourself. Feed the station. Live forever. A cold wind hissed across the desert. Marcus looked at the gas pumps. At the glass smeared with blood. At the corpses silently waiting in his cab. At his truck, the only thing he had left in life. His last 5 gallons ticked down in his mind like a clock. He took a step toward the truck. Then another. He reached into the cab. Grabbed his emergency flare. Lit it? The corpses shifted violently, pressing against the windows, scraping their nails down the glass as if begging or warning or hungering. You don't have to, the old woman cried behind him. You can live. You can stay with me. Marcus didn't look back. He tossed the flare onto the driver's seat. The truck exploded in a wave of heat and shrieking metal. Fire roared into the sky, consuming the bodies, the cab, the tank. The Starlight station lit up like a torch. The old woman screamed, a sound that warped into something inhuman, ancient, starved. The shadow of her body stretched and twisted as the flames devoured the building. The neon sign flickered, sparked, and died. And with it, so did the station. When the fire burned out, Marcus was alone in the desert. His truck was ash. The old woman was gone. Starlight 66 no longer existed. Just sand. Just night. Just silence. Marcus started walking, trembling, breathing cold air that tasted like freedom and smoke. But behind him, deep beneath the sand, Something hummed, faint and hungry. The kind of hunger that never dies. Marcus kept walking anyway. He didn't look back. Story 4, The House That Hums. My name is Laura Kent, and for most of my life I believed I had a normal childhood. It wasn't until last winter, when a demolition crew uncovered what was buried beneath our old house, that I realized none of it was real. Or rather, none of it was mine. I grew up in a 2-story colonial home on the edge of Briar Hollow, a quiet New England town no one has heard of unless they've had a reason to remember it. The house was old, built sometime in the late 1800s, and it had quirks like every old house does. Drafty windows. Floors that complained under your feet. Lights that flickered if you ran the shower too long. But there was one thing that was never normal. The house hummed. Not loudly. Not constantly. But in certain rooms, mostly at night, you'd hear a low, trembling vibration, like a heavy breath pressed against the walls. As a child, I thought everyone's house did this. Adults would brush it off. It's the pipes, sweetheart. It's just settling. Houses make noises. But even at 8 years old, I knew a house shouldn't sound like it was thinking. It always started near my bedroom, an odd little room tucked under the sloped roof. I'd lie awake and listen to the faint tremor passing through the wooden frame, as though something deep inside the structure was moving its weight from one side to the other. My mother told me to ignore it. My father told me not to ask questions. Neither ever stepped foot in my room after sunset, not even when I begged. When I turned 12, the humming changed. It became directional. Instead of vibrating across the whole room, it would come from a single spot on the wall. Then, night after night, it would shift, closer to my bed. Like it was searching. Like it was trying to find the right place to. I don't know. Come through. I started sleeping in the hallway with the light on. My parents pretended not to notice. One night, I made the mistake of pressing my ear against the humming wall. Just to hear it better. Just to prove to myself it wasn't alive. But it was. Because beneath the hum, something knocked back. A slow, deliberate tap tap tap. I screamed until my throat hurt, but my parents didn't come. The next morning, they acted like nothing had happened. My mother even said I seemed tired and I should get more rest. That's when I realized something was wrong with them, too. The humming followed me throughout my teenage years. In the kitchen. In the basement. In the attic crawl space. Always faint. Always patient. Like a song only I was allowed to hear. When I turned 18, I left Briar Hollow and never looked back. For a while, life was normal. Quiet. Safe. Then, last winter, I received a letter. A simple envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Your childhood home is being demolished. You should know what they are about to find. No signature. No explanation. Curiosity, or some old part of me that never healed, dragged me back to Briar Hollow. I arrived just as the demolition crew unearthed something beneath the house's foundation. At first I thought it was a basement room, maybe one I never knew existed. But it wasn't a room. It was a chamber. Circular. Reinforced with steel beams not original to the house. And along the far wall, half buried in dirt and rot, was a massive object. It looked mechanical. Organic. Like a machine that had once been alive, or a creature forced into the shape of one. And even after all those years, even after the house above it had been torn down, it was still humming. The foreman said they were calling in the state, maybe the feds. He joked that it was some kind of old generator. But generators don't hum at the frequency humans associate with speech. I stepped closer. The vibration crawled up through the soles of my shoes. I felt it in my bones, in my teeth, in the back of my skull. Then it stopped. The chamber went silent for the first time in over a century. I should have run. I should have screamed.